There's the recording. Let me just share my screen and get your agenda up.
All right, it is 5:03, calling to order the Northpoint Charter School Governance Council on May 20th. Could I get a roll call, please?
Okay, sorry about that. I had to find my button. This is a roll call for the May 20th Northpoint Charter School Governing Council meeting. Sarah Menacucci,
Here.
Sarah Frederickson,
Here.
Adele Dozier,
Here.
Anthony Padilla.
He's absent. He is driving, and so I said I thought we would have a quorum and he wouldn't need to call in unless I let him know. So he'll be absent tonight.
Okay. Lisa Berenberg here. Eileen Johnson.
Here.
Okay.
All right. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, for one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, adoption of the agenda. So we had one change we wanted to make. I can't scroll because it's yours. Let me scroll to mine. All right, so we wanted to move 7AI to be number 4. And then the consent agenda would be number 5 and so on. And then 7BI would 7B would still stay down there. So anyone else have any changes to the agenda they want to propose? All right, hearing none, could I get an adoption of the agenda with the one change? Could I get a motion for an adoption to the agenda with the one change?
Sarah Menacucci here. I'd like to propose that we adopt the agenda with the one change of moving 7AI up to number 4.
All right, motion heard. May I get a second?
This is Sarah Frederickson. I second.
Thank you. And a vote?
This is a vote to adopt the consent agenda with the singular change to move 7AI up to number 4 and then renumber the rest of the agenda. Let's see. Sarah Menacucci,
Aye.
Sarah Frederickson,
Aye.
Adele Dozier,
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye. Public comment. Doesn't look like there are any items for public comment on the agenda, and I don't see any members of the public present. Consent agenda, which includes the minutes, the finance packet. Does anyone have any proposed changes to the consent agenda?
Miss Johnson?
Yeah.
We just moved Miss Dixon to number 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. All right, Ms. Dixon, please.
Hi,
Can we have your report? Aye. Sorry.
thank you for accommodating the change. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to
Look at it
update
so
you all
fast.
about
Yeah.
our CTE grants that we are going to be receiving. So the first that we are getting is the Perkins Redistribution Grant. That is a federal grant that we just got final approval of. It's a smaller grant. It's just the redistribution of funds from the federal Perkins from previous years. So it's $3,360 that we received. We're going to be purchasing a new 3D printer and some supplies to support our growing 3D printing manufacturing instruction. And then
So
Yeah.
hang on 1 second. But the bar for the Carl D. Perkins reserve increase is $1,000. But you just
that's
3,000.
That's a different grant.
Oh, it's different. So the Perkins grant's not the same. Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
this
have
one's for 3,000.
Perkins federal grant, and then this is the Perkins federal redistribution grant. So it's
Got it. Okay.
there's a lot. So this is for fiscal year 27 redistribution grant, which is
Yeah.
$3,361. For our other traditional CTE grants, there's the state Next Gen grant and the Carl Perkins federal grant. And we have our applications been accepted. We're just awaiting approval. Our CTE coach resigned in April, and PED staff is a bit shorthanded. So it'll probably be a slightly longer process to get our approval, but I don't anticipate any issues. We did receive our planning amounts for FY27. Our Next Gen planning award is going to be 129,256. And the Perkins is 15,000. That's a total of $144,256, which is up from 103,924 last year. So a good improvement there. That 1,000 you were talking about was the final award adjustment for FY26. So they're kind of always ongoing. So we're going to use the funds for salary support for our community educator that works in Smart Lab, stipends for professional services like the STEM team coaches, our Naviance administrator, professional development at Power School University and some other areas. Our CTE program is somewhat expensive, so this money allows us to update outdated technology and also continue the support of the new technologies that we've introduced over the last few years. Some examples include we're going to be replacing our large format plotter. We have some older unsupported 3D printers that we're going to be replacing and getting newer ones. We're going to be updating our video equipment, updating our music editing equipment. We'll continue to support our professional certification program, which includes the curriculum, the test prep, and the vouchers for the student testing. All the consumable supplies that keep the lab up and running every day, which gets pricey. But we're super grateful that the state continues to support this and that we are seeing increases. That's very helpful. Does anybody have any questions, specific questions I could answer?
I don't. Anyone else? Sounds great. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right. Sorry, I mixed that up. Now on to number 5, the consent agenda. Discussion and action. Thank you, Lisa, for pointing out that I missed that.
Yes, ma'am.
That I made the change, finished the sentence, and then forgot. Is there any changes anybody would like to propose to the minutes or the finance packet? All right, hearing none, could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the April 23rd meeting and the finance packet?
This is Sarah Frederickson. I make a motion to approve the minutes from April 23rd, 2026 meeting and the finance packet.
Great, and a second?
I'll second the motion on the table.
Thanks, Adele. All right, and a vote.
This is a vote on the proposal to approve the consent agenda and the finance package. Let's see. Sarah Minicucci,
Aye.
Sarah Frederickson,
Aye.
Adele Dozier,
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye. All right, and then financial management. Sarah Frederickson, do you want to give the finance committee report?
Not really.
If you're not comfortable, it's fine. Okay, so we met just before this meeting and discussed the packet. We had a couple questions. Marie's going to get back to us on something, and then we also discussed a couple of the contracts that we're going to be voting on in 6C. So it was good. There wasn't anything concerning that we would need to discuss as a board. So Marie, do you want to give the business manager report?
Good evening, members of the council. We looked over the finance packet, and I do have a couple of things I need to get back to everyone on. And then as far as the budget goes, it's been submitted. As is usual with PED, we have a little back and forth as to, what's this, what are you doing here? And those things are minor. And then we have the end of the year. We got Lisa and I worked on the contracts for the employees, certified staff or instructional staff, I guess. So they could be before they leave, and then we'll just move into the summer and work on all the other things that we do in the summer, which is a lot, but we'll get those done too. But I stand for any questions that you might have about the bars or anything like that. I know they've already been approved, but if you have a question, I'd be happy to answer it.
So I had a question about the vendor contracts. I'm just kind of wondering, curious here, why the school is going back to kind of the heritage version of the learning platform. I don't know if
Sure.
anybody here can answer that.
Sure, I can
Yeah,
answer
I
that.
wouldn't be able to answer that, but
Okay.
Lisa would.
Lisa, should we move on to 6C? Or does anyone have any questions specific for Marie? Okay, so we'll move on to 6C, the vendor contracts discussion and action.
To answer your question, Ms. Dozer, we have elected to return to the heritage version because the EdX version has been far more buggy than anticipated. We've met
Glitchy,
multiple
yeah.
times with Edgenuity to register our complaints. We actually were even promoted up to that's not maybe the word I want, but we also met with the development team for EdX and pointed out, hey, these are the problems we're experiencing. It created some definite improvements in the student experience, but it also created a number of hardships for staff in monitoring the classes and their ability to edit the classes. And the grade volatility was immense and made our past, good night, Marie, made our past 7 years of data collection unusable because we couldn't continue tracking it the same way due to the grade volatility. There were things like weights, the grade weights that we put in that changed throughout the semester on their own. And so that also affected student scores when we had to readjust the weights to the way they were supposed to be. So essentially we told Edgenuity that we felt like we were beta testing their product and we would like to return to the heritage version until they iron out those issues.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
And they're still supporting the heritage version, right? They didn't do a wholehearted leave the heritage version behind and then start with the new one. So
No.
going back is okay. That
Yes.
it's still going to be fully supported. Okay.
It's fully supported. We actually did several rounds of staff interviews before making that decision and interviewed a number of students as well. And opinions amongst both the staff and the students were often split 50-50. The students said, oh, I like this or I like this, but I don't like this or that. And so we just asked, which one would you choose? You've been here for a couple of years. Which ones would you choose? And the opinions were pretty well split. Given that with the bugs and the data issues we've had, we elected to return until they can solve those problems, which I'm confident they'll solve them. And maybe in another year, we can return to the EdX, which does offer a better overall feel. Okay. Did you have any other questions about the Imagine Learning contract in particular?
No, I think it's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I noticed. Is that the one where they gave us like a half price or something?
There were several factors involved in that.
Okay.
One was changing the professional development that was embedded in the previous contract. We'll still have professional development, but I changed the structure of it to a less expensive option. We also removed the MyPath support. We're going to use a different model for intervention support next year with a different vendor. So those things removed a fair amount of it. But
Yeah.
the largest discount was because of the complaints that I just explained. And so I wouldn't expect that deep of a price change to continue in future years.
Mhm.
This was a, hey, we're really sorry about your experience this year accommodation.
We even talked about the bugs and the troubles that the sped teachers were having during my son's IEP. So, yeah.
Yeah.
IEP meeting, yeah.
For the rest of the vendor contracts, they were all included in your packet. That summary document is really helpful to break everything down. The Power On is our IT vendor. We split that 50-50 with the other school. And so we're continuing the service, and they included a small annual increase. The day and night cleaners is also something that's split with the other school according to the cost share. We've used this vendor for a number of years. They do an excellent job in maintaining our facility and keeping it clean. So the differences you see there was actually not an increase to the overall cost. It was the difference in cost share is the difference you see in our portion there. For McKee Woolwork, you may have noticed in the proposals that I sent that they offered two options. And that's something that we did speak about during the finance committee. Would you like to weigh in, Ms. Johnson and Ms. Frederickson, or do you want me to just explain?
Yeah, go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, we thought that now that we have an established website and established services, that we might try the cheaper option for a few months, and then put a note on our calendar to revisit in like October and decide if this is, if that is the right level of service at the cheaper option. And then if it's not, we can go back to a more full service option. But if that is the right option, then it's a considerable savings.
Are there any questions about that one before I move on?
I was just gonna ask you, Miss Mora, because you're the one that does the majority of the interface, and I didn't want to cut services if you felt that would put a burden on you. And so I wanted to make sure you were comfortable with the, less, and maybe it's actually better to have less meetings and less telephone calls and less interactions, or if you felt like you might get out of touch. So I wanted to make sure you were comfortable with us cutting the service back.
Thank you. I appreciate that consideration, and we did discuss it in the finance committee. I think it's reasonable to try the other option. As I explained during finance, it removes the creative portion for things like the cards that you were given as board members or the open house flyers. We would have to pay for those on an as-needed basis. But I believe the cost savings overall would still cover those individual costs. And I really liked Eileen's suggestion to revisit this in October. And that way, let's see how it's working. And if I find then that we're paying more than expected for creatives or for website changes, or feel like I'm, like you mentioned, Ms. Berenberg, less connected or less understanding of the services, then we do have the ability to adjust mid-year. Okay. So Imagine Learning, we already talked about the differences there. Charter Law Office is continuing with our same legal team. Everything is the same. The only difference is she would really like us to go ahead and include the service agreement at the max up to the procurement level of $60,000. It doesn't mean we're going to spend that much. It just means that if we had something come up and we needed to increase our services, we wouldn't have to reapprove another service document. We plan to issue the PO as we did this year, not to exceed $15,000. That can be adjusted if need be. So I don't anticipate increased costs. There's just that difference in the service agreement cap.
Oh, okay, okay, because I didn't know if you had to fence the money off. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what
Encumber,
it's called
yeah.
here, but in government world, you would
Yeah.
fence money off and then you couldn't use it for something else. And I didn't know if moving from 15,000 to 60,000, even though we only do a couple of $1,000s a year, would put us in a bind because the money's fenced off. It doesn't, it's a procurement limit. So
Right.
it just allows us, in the event something were to happen and you had to go and consult with her, it allows her to be able to charge up to that amount.
Exactly. We
Okay.
encumber it on the PO and
Oh,
that
you
is
do
fencing
encumber
it
it?
off like, well, we
Ooh.
choose the amount we encumber. So we're
Oh,
going,
okay.
this year we encumbered $15,000 for the
Okay.
PO.
Okay.
And that's what we plan on next year. That
Next year.
can be
Okay.
changed throughout the year if we find an increased need. So we're
Mhm.
not having to fence off or encumber more
Yeah.
money. It's just if we needed to go above 30, we wouldn't have to revisit the entire agreement.
Okay.
We wouldn't have to
Okay.
come back to the board, either, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Which
Right.
would,
Okay.
if there's an emergency, we don't have to meet right away to make that happen. So I think it's
Okay.
fair.
All right. All right.
I like the
For
questions.
CES ancillary services, I provided the allocation quote that we've just received from them. Since that quote was received, I've learned that one of our providers has not been approved with ERB. We had this issue earlier in the year in
Yeah.
March. It's something that ERB is doing. I anticipate it to continue. So the allocation that I provided to you is going to be less than that amount. And we'll be doing some direct hire of those employees instead. If
So
you
we
are
could, oh, sorry, I was just gonna say what we talked about during the board or during the finance meeting. So we could approve that one with a not to exceed the provided amount. But what's gonna happen is Lisa, if she doesn't see a FY 27 contract dollar amount to match, then she's going to look at the FY 26 contract and um, estimate the increase like CES would normally increase. So, sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, you're fine. So the ancillary services, we do still expect to contract for the nurse and for the diagnostician. And they do these quotes we do a kind of a worst case. It's driven completely by IEPs. And that's how we contract for those services. And so it's more of a worst case. And you can see in the summary document, we don't spend the allocation amount. So if you're comfortable still approving it, knowing that the the rehab transition specialist, I had to think about how it's termed in there. So rehab specialist, which is our transition specialist, and our speech language pathologist are currently included in that allocation, but I don't expect to pay CES for them. They will be direct hires instead. Did that make sense? It felt confusing. Okay.
It did to me because we had already talked about it, but if anybody has any questions, absolutely ask. Yeah.
Okay, so what'll be put under CSE ancillary services is the nurse and the diagnostician. The rehab transition specialist and the speech language specialist will be direct hires.
The rehab specialist will definitely be direct hire. She's been denied from ERB. The
Okay,
speech language pathologist has not yet been denied from ERB, but I expect her to be, and she expects to be.
okay.
So for now, we'll approve her under the CES contract, and then when she's denied, we'll revisit. Or
It
Or
actually
do-
wouldn't even need to be revisited. It would just shift
Okay.
that we'll pay her, I would hire her as on an hourly basis. And I
Okay.
would pay her directly rather than pay through CES. So the funding to the school will be the same. It's just a matter of who it's being directed to.
Right. But I thought when
Um,
we did this, who did we do this with? What position did we do this with back in January or
it's the
The
February?
social
janitor.
worker. It was
Social
the
worker.
social
But I
worker.
thought that we found that it was actually cheaper to
Yes.
hire direct than it was to go through CES. And so is there an option for us to just abandon CES and hire everybody direct? Or is that a rule of New Mexico?
Well,
You're not
so then
allowed?
you have to do your own job placement. You have to do your own job advertisement, right? Your own hiring, your own vetting, right?
Okay.
And so this gives you approved vendors. So the fact that we already have these people means that they've already been vetted. They already work well with our school. We just
Okay.
know that they aren't covered. And so that was going to lead me to my next question is when those people retire or when they move on to something else, will you go back to CES? You won't keep it a direct hire?
It would depend on who is available at CES. The way the program appears to be moving is that it's largely staffed by return to work employees, people that have retired and are returning to work. And there's a new, I don't know, policy or procedure in place with the ERB, the Educational Retirement Board lawyers, that are denying return to work applications as independent contractors for those individuals. So CES hires them as independent contractors, and we do pay CES and then they pay the employee. So we are paying an additional cost for the vetting and all the other things Ms. Johnson mentioned. But it also keep in mind that none of these employees are full-time. They are very small percentages of an FTE, a full-time equivalency. And so for the individual, they can be assigned to however many schools they want and receive one paycheck through CES rather than have multiple contracts with multiple schools. CES provides the training for them. If they're direct hires, we have to provide the background checks. We have to provide all their training. And we process all of their paperwork, all of their tax liabilities. So there are advantages to going through CES, but given that we have established relationships with these particular vendors, as they're being denied, or I should have said providers, not vendors, but as they're being denied, we prefer to direct hire them and continue the relationship. And it keeps the cost to the school at or below what we were paying to CES.
Right. Do you know if anybody in New Mexico charter schools, whatever that trade group is called, I can't remember, is lobbying New Mexico PED to try to get, it's the double dip problem, right? They're drawing retirement and then they're going back and working, right? And so do you know if anybody's trying to lobby to get that fixed so that that can actually stop being a problem?
Well, I met with a CES representative and said, what are you doing to solve this problem? Because I
Okay.
understand a number of my providers are being denied and will no longer be eligible to work with CES. And the woman from CES that I met with assured me that their lawyers were working on it with ERB.
Okay.
But then I also just had one provider was denied last week. So
So they haven't fixed it yet.
So they haven't
Because,
fixed
I mean,
it.
that's how you get your subject matter experts that have been doing it forever and want to still be doing it. And so they likely have the patience and the expertise to be able to do it.
Yeah,
Whatever
it's
the
a
whatever the
win-win and it
position
sounds
is.
bureaucratic, right?
Yeah.
It's a bureaucracy problem, all because of, yeah.
So on this particular thing, I'm concerned about when there's turnover, what you're gonna do. Just like, will you come back to the board and ask us what we think? If you should direct hire somebody else, or if you should go back to CES? I don't know what the
Well-
right answer is, and I just want to find out what the plan is.
Well, I'd be happy to bring it to the board if you would like to hear, but hiring like that is actually within my purview. And so
Yeah.
I would most likely either direct hire someone else if I had a good recommendation, or I would return to CES if they had a provider that was available, if they haven't all been denied. And if they have a
Right.
provider that's available to provide services, then it would still be included in the allocation quote as I presented to you tonight, because that quote includes services for a rehab transition specialist or for the SLP, not to that exact
Mhm.
individual. That can change.
Right. Yeah, I certainly don't want to do your job for you. I
Yeah.
have enough of my work to do.
So as long as it stays within the budget that we've already approved, you have the,
Well,
up
I mean, there's always going to be annual increases, or you might pay more for one person
one
versus
person.
another. I think Lisa has great judgment, and I think she'll handle it
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to bring it back to the board if you would like input or to discuss it.
I
think
feel
if
like
there's
this is our,
anything,
oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, I think if there's anything that you're worried about or you want to discuss with us, bring it back to us, but it's not a requirement.
And
Okay.
and
was
this
just
is our
curious.
second discussion in, 5 months. So we
Right.
understand what's going on, right? The first time you brought it to us, it was because it was like, oh my God, this is happening, right? But now
Yeah.
we fundamentally understand that this is an ongoing issue between ERB and CES, and it's affecting everybody. And so yeah, I'm sort of like, understand if you want to make mention of it, great. Otherwise, yeah, unless something happens and you don't feel comfortable, I'd let you do it.
Okay.
I mean, I fundamentally understand what the problem is, and like we said, we don't want to do your job of staffing.
Okay. Then if there aren't additional questions on ancillary, we could talk about the K-12 Vertex Education. That is our business management group. We previously had a 3-year contract with them that expires in June. And so this is just renewing that 3-year contract. They are CES vendors, and the annual pricing is determined based on that CES RFP process and the school's SEG amount. So it's not something we negotiate, it's determined by the RFP with CES. That's a lot of initials to throw around. The RFP is request for proposal, and then CES is the same procurement company that we run. And then the Power School quote, we have a number of services with Power School. Have you heard that the state is moving towards a statewide student information system?
No.
Okay. The state is moving towards a statewide student information system. They did not choose Power School for that system. They chose another vendor.
For both public and charter schools, every school in the state of New Mexico?
Yes, not private, but public and charters, yes.
Oh, wow.
It is not mandatory. The state is paying for the student SIS portion of it, but they are not paying for the added on services that we contract with Power School for. It is not a requirement. In fact, many charter leaders in particular are choosing not to move to the state system because of the time investment involved. Again, with small staff, having to dedicate someone to learning an entirely new student information system is daunting, to say the least. So one thing Power School is doing is offering a discount for those who choose to stay with Power School. I would like to stay with Power School. I don't believe that we have the manpower to manage a full student information system change and all those associated products. So I've requested the discount. And the quotes that I included there include a 3-year contract, which gives us the initial discount on the service for the SIS, the basic SIS, student information system, and then a reduced annual uplift to save costs overall. And then we can reevaluate once, because it launches, they had an data transfer year this year, and the first year of actually launching with the initial first cohort of schools that join will be next year. So in 3 years, that allows us some time to work out the bugs, and then we can consider whether or not we want to jump on board. That's all the vendor contracts in summary. Any specific?
Okay, so does anyone have any more questions? No? Okay, so when we make this motion, then we'll specify the McKee wall work at the lesser expensive option, and the CES as discussed.
Yes.
Does that work? Okay. All right, so could I get a motion to approve the vendor contracts as provided with the caveat that we'll do the cheaper option with McKee and the CES ancillary services as discussed.
Okay, I will make that motion if I can get all the words correct. I think that's why the hesitation here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the vendor contracts with the less expensive option for the McKee wall work and the CES ancillary services as discussed.
Perfect.
Okay,
Can I get a second?
Sarah Minicucci, and I second it.
Great, and a vote?
This is a vote to approve the vendor contracts with the McKee wall work at the lower option and the CES ancillary services as discussed. I have to go to my list here. Hang on. Okay. Sarah Menicucci,
Aye.
Sarah Fredrickson,
Aye.
Adele Dozier,
I
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye. Motion passed. All right, inventory disposal, discussion and action.
There were just a couple of items included in your packets for inventory disposal, including including two of the older 3D printers that are no longer supported, that, as Ms. Dixon explained, will be replacing with an upgraded model, and a Chromebook, one of the new Chromebooks that got knocked off the desk and the screen is broken, and IT says it's not worth the repair.
What do we do with those? What do we do with the 3D printer then?
They'll go to e-waste recycling,
Okay, all
and the same with the Chromebook.
right, okay. All right, could I get a motion to approve the inventory disposal as presented?
Sarah Minicucci, and I propose to accept the plan of inventory disposal at, what was it again, e-waste
Yeah,
They'll
as
go to
presented.
e-waste recycling.
recycling.
All right, motion heard. Can I get a second?
This is Sarah Fredrickson. I second.
Thank you. And a vote?
This is a vote to approve the inventory disposal list as presented. Let's see. Sarah Menicucci,
Aye.
Sarah Fredrickson,
Aye.
Adele Dozier,
I
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, hourly ancillary rate for FY 27. Discussion and action.
And that is, as we just discussed with transitioning some of those ancillary staff members to a direct hire, they would be hired as hourly only employees without benefits or without leave. They would turn in timesheets, and the hourly rate would be commensurate with what they would make if they were employed by CES. And so I provided a rate sheet for the institution rate for CES, and their hourly rate would not exceed that amount.
All right, great. Could I get a motion? Well, does anyone have any questions? Sorry. None heard. Could I get a motion to approve the hourly ancillary rate for FY 27?
This is Sarah Fredrickson. I make a motion to approve the hourly ancillary rate for FY 27 as discussed.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second it. It's Adele.
Thanks, Adele. All right, and a vote.
This is a vote to approve the hourly ancillary rate for fiscal year 27. Sarah Menicucci,
Aye.
Sarah Frederickson,
Aye.
Adele Dozier,
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye. All right, power on smartboard replacement discussion and action.
The quote was provided, also in your packet, to replace our aging smart boards. We use 3 of them in each of our portable classrooms. And they are used for instruction in portables 1 and 2. They're used largely for IEPs in portable 3. And they're out of date and are just due for replacement. And so by purchasing them now, they do come out of SB9 funds. It's not something that comes from operational to purchase that sort of tech. And purchasing them now allows for full setup over the summer so that they are ready to go when the teachers return.
Smart. I had noticed some frustration with those when I was in one of the portables last time, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think it's good. Anyone have any questions, concerns? Okay, all right, could I get a motion to approve the power on smartboard replacement?
Sarah Minicucci, and I propose that we accept the Parian Smart Board replacements as discussed.
All right, motion heard. Could I get a second?
This is Sarah Frederickson. I second.
Thank you, and a vote?
This is a vote to approve the power on smart board replacements as discussed. Sarah Minicucci,
Aye.
Sarah Frederickson,
Aye.
Adele Dozier,
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye. All right, academic performance, executive director report.
Right.
Hello.
Hello. Enrollment report. Today we are at 142. I reported 143 last month. We did have a student withdraw who decided to pursue a GED. But again, enrollment has held fairly steady over the course of the year. For recruitment, tours are continuing for enrollment next year. Actually seeing, as I reported last time, we're seeing a lot of growth in the number of tours that we're doing. And then I wanted to include a DEO update as well. I included a couple of charts in your packet that we can go ahead and look at.
Just one thing before we get to this, the tours, didn't I hear a little while ago, 2 or 3 meetings ago, that you were thinking you'd have another open house the first weekend in June? Is that going to stick, or have you decided not to do that?
We will be holding another open house. We're going to have to move the date.
Oh,
I've
okay.
got some staff members that are out, and with the limited staff in the summer,
Right.
we need to move the date. But
Yeah, no worries. I was just curious, more curiosity.
yes, we're absolutely going to do that. We've continued to offer tours to the new students that have accepted a seat, but they haven't yet come in for a tour. Because before they do registration, we want to do that solid onboarding and make
Right.
sure that they are comfortable with the program and they know what to expect. And that eases transition for them and reduces frustration and reduces turnover. So that's the main focus of that new open house, although of course it can be used for new recruitment as well.
Okay.
For the DEO, that is the work that Nikki is doing in the pay-per-click advertising and the website optimization. We have been more focused on the pay-per-click advertising. So we did see a slight drop in a couple of keywords with the searches for the can't think of the word I want. Gosh, I hate when it happens. The keyword snapshots, we saw a couple of decreases there. But as they include more fresh web content that they're going to be working on in the next quarter, that should help increase the numbers there in the search rankings. We did see significant growth in page views and in particularly the new student application page and clicking into tours as a result of the work with the pay-per-click advertising. They noted, I'm going to read from their notes here, 148% increase in total users, a 46% rise in student application views. We're up in views across all key areas of the site. And even though our attention has been more focused on the paid search, the organic search continues to be the primary driver of traffic after that direct. And I have to ask them every time, direct means that you go to your browser and you type in Northpoint Charter. You know exactly where you're going. An organic search is you're looking for charters near me, and things, and that's how they end up on our site. And then there's the paid search, which you can see those numbers here. As we look to the application funnel that they put together, overall, the site increase is up considerably. The Apply Now page is also up considerably. The application button is up 50% in the number of people that click on the application. Because the application itself is separate from the website, it's linked. You can get there through the website, of course, but the actual application is part of our PowerSchool contract, and it goes to a separate page that they're unable to track how many have actually completed the application. They can only track how many clicked there. We also have 40 new tour clicks that said that they clicked in that button specifically that they wanted information on scheduling a tour. Now, of course, we also get inquiries on tours from drop-ins or people call to schedule. But specific to that, I'd like to schedule a tour button. That's increased as well. Tours are up, and we have a really strong tour conversion rate. As people come in for tours, they are far more likely to go ahead and accept a seat or complete an application. I should have said that the other way around, to complete an application or accept a seat. New student applications are up 88%, and then total enrollment has remained fairly steady.
That's a big class that just graduated to try to replace.
I know.
So, yeah.
It is. It is. That I reported last month that we also are up considerably in the number of students that have accepted a seat at the same time over the year. This year over last year. It was, I don't have the number in front of me, but I reported last month it was a huge increase in the number of seat acceptances we had, which are largely attributed to this paid per click and the tours that we're doing. So,
And so none of that will change except the quarterly reporting versus monthly reporting, right?
yes, the pay-per-click is still completely managed, and so we should continue to see improvements like that.
Okay, great. right.
And then, I'm sorry, were there any questions about DEO?
None for
Okay.
me.
I was just gonna say that's an odd looking funnel chart. Usually with funnel charts, the numbers go down the further, the skinnier the funnel chart gets. It's kind
Yeah.
of like of an hourglass.
Yeah.
Yep, because you get this many impressions equal this many people that take action equal this many
Yeah.
people that, yeah.
The
For
the
school-
math person inside of me was kind of scratching my head, but go on, it's okay.
For graduation, our ceremony was held last week. It was lovely. Things went really smoothly. And Commissioner Beck from the PEC also attended our graduation, was able to be on stage and shake hands with all the graduates. So it's nice to have another good one in the books. It is so much fun to hand kids their diplomas. It is the best part of the year
I
to
love
get to be there and finish their journey.
Yes, I was emotional for kids that I didn't even know. Yes, it was very cool.
So if you haven't been to one yet, you should come. They're really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then a staffing update. As you know, we have 3 retirees this year. I have offered a position to the new special educational assistant. She's accepted, background's in, we're just waiting on a contract signature, and I got contracts in today. So hopefully she can come in and sign this week. The maintenance individual has been hired. You remember that we adjusted our salary scale there and adjusted the scope of work. So he's hired, everything is signed. He begins with us on June 1st. so that he has a couple of weeks of transition with our outgoing maintenance director. And then as part of that, we'll be transitioning the landscape maintenance portion to an outsourced vendor. And that cost will be split with the other school for grounds maintenance according to the cost share agreement.
Okay, great.
So,
Are
that's good.
they're anticipating that bill then? Since that'll be
Yes.
a new bill? Okay,
Yes,
All right.
that's all been communicated and approved on their end as well.
of course it has.
Um, so that's exciting. They will also begin in mid-June. Our current maintenance individual finishes mid-June, and has some leave to play out to finish up through June 30th. So his last day with us is actually June 12th. And so the new guy will have 2 weeks working directly with him. And the maintenance crew will start mid-June. So we have just a very small contract to finish June and then the larger one for July. But it didn't come to the level that it needed board approval, so you didn't see the contract. And then that leaves me with one more position that I'm still interviewing for, but I'm confident we'll be able to fill it, hopefully sooner rather than later. Any questions for me about staffing for next year? Then that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Okay, governance, closed session. So, what I need is a motion to enter closed session stating exactly what it says there in item 8B on here. Granted, we moved the numbers, but item 8B on here. And then we will say what time that we go into closed session. Lisa will stop the recording and we'll go into a separate room, and then we'll invite Lisa in. Wait, no, we invite Lisa in at first,
Well,
right? Is that? I
yeah,
can't remember
what you
we've
want to
done in
do
previous
is
years.
you make the motion to go into closed session, and part of your motion is to invite me in at some point.
Okay,
I will send you to a breakout room so that you can discuss privately. And then since we're in, I have to stay able to monitor the Zoom. But since we don't have any members of the public present, I would propose that when you are ready to invite me in, that you leave the breakout room and just come back to the regular meeting. We'll leave the recording stopped and we simply won't admit anyone else at that moment while it's still in closed session.
okay,
But I can't go to the
Okay.
closed session with you because then there's nobody to monitor the Zoom.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, I honestly think you could be present for the whole thing. I don't see a reason to do a breakout, so we'll just stop the recording, have our closed meeting, and then start the recording again when we're done.
Okay, let me close the
Okay.
breakout room then. There you go.
Okay, sorry, thanks. All right, could I get a motion for the to start the closed session based on exactly what it says there?
Okay, this is Adele. I'll make a closed session pursuant to, I read all this? Pursuant
motion
to
to-
section,
to-
I'm making a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 1015 H2 NMSA 1978. The Governance Council will meet in closed session to discuss limited personnel matters relating to the executive director annual evaluation and FY27 contract. There.
Could I get a second?
Sarah Minicucci, and I second the motion.
All right, wonderful. And a vote?
This is a vote to go into closed session pursuant to section 1015(1)(h)(2) of NMSA 1978. The Governance Council will meet in closed session to discuss limited personnel matters related to the Executive Director Annual Evaluation and the fiscal year 27 contract. Sarah Minicucci,
Aye.
Sarah Frederickson,
Aye.
Adele Dozier,
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye. And it is 5:57 entering closed session.
So I'm going to stop the recording. Hold on, do I stop the recording or do I stop screen share?
You stop,
Right, the recording is resumed.
Okay, it is 6:52 and we are returning from the closed session. And I would like to state for the record that during the closed session, only the limited personnel matters relating to the executive director annual evaluation and FY27 contract were discussed. And I think I read in our training, do we have to have a motion to come out or just to go into closed session? Maybe it's just to go into.
I don't
feel like
think you have to have the motion or vote to come out of closed session. You just have to state that you have.
And actually, we had forgotten to write discussion action after closed session since we made a motion to go into that, but it's fine, it happened. All right, so as discussed in the executive director FY27 contract, could I get a motion to accept the executive director FY27 contract as we discussed?
Sarah Minicucci, and I'd like to propose a motion to accept the executive director FY27 contract.
Thank you. And a second?
This is Adele, I'll second.
Great. All right, motion, oh, a vote.
right, it was Sarah M. I'm sorry, I was writing. That did the first.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. This is a motion to accept the executive director contracts for fiscal year 27 as discussed in closed session. Sarah Menicucci,
Aye.
Sarah Frederickson. You're on mute.
Okay, still I.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Del Dozier, you're also on mute. Yeah.
Aye.
Lisa Berenberg, aye. Eileen Johnson.
Aye. All right, motion passed. Governing council development. Review current training hours.
Okay, this is the tracker provided by CSD. So Ms. Johnson's finished, Mr. Padilla's finished, Ms. Berenberg is finished, and Ms. Menicucci is finished. Ms. Frederickson, you're super
I finished
close.
today.
Did you?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I finished
usually
on
takes them
Monday,
some-
actually, so I'm done as well.
You finished the whole thing?
Yep.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I
Congratulations.
jammed through it this weekend and I finished on Monday afternoon and probably it hasn't updated yet, but I printed out my certificate if you need it. So
I don't, but I'll check back in a few days.
Okay.
It usually just takes them some time to update. But
Do you want us to forward you the email that says you did the thing?
only if I have any
Okay.
conflict with charter schools division, I'll
Okay.
ask for proof, but it's their course and I'm sure they'll get it updated. And I really appreciate you all taking time to finish your training a little bit early because then it relieves my stress level. Thank you.
Yeah. And next year, you guys only have five.
Five.
members. Yeah, and you can do them any way you want. It doesn't have to be that campus course.
And if you have vacation that you can take for a day or even two, go into the New Mexico Public Charter Schools Conference. The first week of December or second week of December is like amazing. It is like definitely the way to go to get all five of you.
But then you get it all done, right?
You get it all done. You get to eat food and you get to interact with other schools that I got to tell you are not nearly as high functioning as ours. Other boards, I was shocked, right, at how the wild stories that people would tell me about their board meetings. It's just mind blowing. So no, it was a great experience. And yeah, if you have a flexible enough vacation schedule that you can set that time away aside, I highly recommend that to get all your training done. It's 5 hours right in a row. And you sort of get to pick which ones you want to go to. So
Nice.
And the conference will be next year on December 3rd and 4th.
third
Okay.
and
Yeah,
fourth.
that's Thursday and Friday, the 3rd and 4th. Traditionally, you can attend both days, or you can attend either day. They usually stack training where you can come
Yep.
one day or the other and receive all of your training.
Mhm.
The school pays for your conference attendance. And it's actually a really neat, I'd echo what Lisa said. It's a neat opportunity to meet with other school leaders and other
Yeah.
school board members, and there are vendor tables, there's all
Yeah.
kinds of interesting things.
Yep.
And I was actually going to mention, since you brought this up, I was going to mention under comments that Lisa and I got an email from was it the PEC? Was that who it was, right? Who said they watched
Which
they watched one of our recordings and rated us on all these different factors, and we did really well.
Oh.
I think, yeah, I was like, oh gosh, all right. Was it? Please don't watch the one where I goofed up the agenda. Um, and so that was really neat to see. The one thing that they said is that we didn't do very much with what's the right word? Our like our small groups,
It
our
was the
committees.
committee work.
Yeah, we
Oh,
didn't have very
yes. Yeah.
apparent committee work, which I agree with, right? You know,
Mhm.
we could have a strategic planning committee, we could have all these committees, and we really only do the necessary ones. And so I don't know if we can make that a goal. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we all do a lot. And I like what we have. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. Um, I certainly don't have like personal bandwidth to be doing lots of committee stuff. So, but
We did it that one time when I questioned all of the statistics on the NWE year over year testing, and then Lisa and I sat down and met, and I created a whole set of charts about what we did. So we did it once, but they obviously
yeah,
didn't watch that one. Yeah, and we called it the academic committee, or
okay, yeah,
subcommittee. Yeah.
yeah,
So we did it once, but yeah, it's ad hoc. It's not normal. Okay.
right, yeah. So that was neat to just get an email out of the blue about how our board was. So I figured I'd
Well,
share
and
that.
they'll do an annual evaluation next year as well, where they do some desktop monitoring to make sure the agendas and minutes and things are posted as required. And then they'll join a meeting and make sure that, I guess, we really meet and how those meetings go, that we follow Robert's rules and all the other things.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that ever happening.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, it's new, isn't it? I think we learned that it's new, and we're also going to have to, I think next year start doing, I think that's one of the things I learned in like my policy class, is they're going to institute a new self-eval for us, the board also.
Yes,
That is
yes, that,
mandatory instead of elective.
yeah. So that was the indicators of success that I sent out previously.
Right,
I thought it was fascinating to take, but yeah, it's like yes or no answers, or you rate
right,
yourself 1 to 5, right? It's not as detailed as the executive director
right.
contract or executive director review. And it even a quick response on each of those, go with your gut, I think would be
Yeah,
helpful. And yeah, it'll come out in August and it's due in September, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Something like
And so
that.
we'll be
Yeah,
required to do that this year. And it's really like, how are we doing? What do we need to work on more? What do we do well? It, I think it'll be good for us, but
yeah.
yeah. So, all right. Okay. Anyone else have any comments or announcements? Okay. All right. The next regular meeting is June 17th. And that is where we change officers, right?
No, that's in July.
that's
July
in
is the annual meeting where we'll
Okay.
approve the Open Meetings Act and elect a new slate of officers because Ms. Johnson will have reached her term limit.
A 2-year term limit. So, be thinking about if you want to be vice president or secretary or, I wouldn't mind doing one of those roles if not everybody wants a role. I'd rather have you on the board still than feel like you have to take a role and, therefore leave. So, yeah. All right.
All right.
It is 7:02 and we are adjourned. This
Yay.
is usually our longest meeting of the year, guys. So
Yeah, I don't know if we
Yeah.
warned them.
I don't know
No.
if we did either.
Yeah, we
It's
should have
my
probably
husband's
warned them.
birthday. I'm like,
Oh,
I've gotta
no.
go.